everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So, we were discussing about in detail regarding the components of the Selenium architecture, right? Selenium, we were having four architectures, that was Selenium language bindings, JSON web protocol, browser drivers, and the real browsers. Now, the previous one and two were discussed in the previous video. Now, we're moving ahead with the browser drivers today. That's what are these browser drivers and how are they actually used out, right? So, quickly let me get out a color and let's start our writing here. So, next I am having here the browser drivers. Next topic of mine, right? Browser drivers. Okay. So, the Selenium uses one second. Selenium uses drivers. Selenium uses drivers specific to each browser, specific to each browser in order to establish a secure connection, in order to establish out a secure connection with the browser, without revealing the internal logic of, let me get out some space, internal logic of browsers, where that gone, right here, internal logic of browsers functionality. So here goes the functionality. Great. Now let's discuss about the browser drivers. That what are these browser drivers? So, excuse me. The Selenium uses of the drivers which are specific to each browser in order to establish out a secure connection. Why we use out these browser drivers and why are the drivers actually specifically used out there? So, Selenium uses of the drivers which are specific to each browser, specifically for each and every browser. Selenium uses of the drivers which are used for establishing out a secure connection with the browser without revealing the internal logic of browser's functionality. First of all, it helps you to establish out a secure connection with the browser. Okay. Secondly, it helps you to secure the connection with the browser without revealing out any of the internal logic of the browser's functionality. Okay, so this is the third component, that's a browser driver. So this is why it is actually used. Okay, now this is as well as like programming language specification, it as well as having. So let's write that out. So the browsers, one second, not a browser, the browser driver is also specific to the language used for automation, such as C#, Java, Python, etc. Right? So the browser driver is also specific to the languages which are used for automation, such as the C#, Java, Python, etc. What are the languages we have read above about Perl, Ruby, PHP? So those same languages are also mentioned up here only. Okay, so I haven't written up all of those. Great. So this is about this particular browser drivers. Now we are having one more thing in this, whenever basically a test is executed, or basically a test script is actually executed using the WebDriver, so there are certain operations which are actually performed out. Okay, so there are certain operations which are performed out. Like, what are those operations? Like the HTTP request is generated and it is sent to the browser driver. Okay, for the Selenium commands. First of all, the HTTP request is generated. Let me write that as well. HTTP request is generated, right? HTTP request is generated and it is sent to the browser driver for each of the Selenium command. Fine. Then the driver receives up that HTTP request through the HTTP server. So next goes that request is received through request is received through HTTP server. Request is received through the HTTP server. Fine. So then what happens at the HTTP server? That HTTP server actually decides that what are the steps to perform, which are mentioned in the instructions and which are executed on the browser. So what all the steps are to be executed here to perform up the instructions which are executed in the browser. So that respective thing is actually calculated out. Let me get down and write that as well. Right here goes the part number 3. So after this, the HTTP server decides all the steps to perform instructions which are executed on browser, which are executed on browser. So the HTTP server decides all the steps to perform instructions which are executed onto the browser. Okay. Next last number 4. At number 4, what happens? So after that, basically whatever the things have to be done by the HTTP server, that are done and sent back for the, and that is respectively sent out for the automation script. Everything is being checked up and everything is executed, and after that it is, I would write that out here, that sent back to automation. Then that respective thing is sent back to the automation script. So this is a complete procedure about the things that how when we basically execute out a test script. So what are the following operations that are performed in executing of the test scripts, right? Now, what are the browsers which are supported by the Selenium WebDriver? So those are Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, Google Chrome, and the Safari. So these are the 4 browsers which are supported up by the Selenium WebDriver, right? So hope I am clear with that. Let me quickly give you an idea of whatever we discussed up today regarding this. So we have discussed about the browser drivers here, that Selenium uses of the drivers which are specific to each browser in order to establish out a secure connection with the browser without revealing the internal logic of the browser's functionality. Right. Then the browser driver is also specific to the language which is used for the automation, such as C#, Java, Python. Then how we see the test scripts are executed. So first of all, the HTTP request is generated, then the request is received through the HTTP server. Then HTTP server decides all the steps to perform instructions which are executed on browser, and then it is sent back to the automation script. So this is how the complete procedure works up here, right? So hope I'm very much clear with that respective thing. And the browsers which are supported by the WebDriver are Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Internet Explorer, and the Safari. Right. So now we are left out with the very last topic in the WebDriver, and that's the features of the Selenium WebDriver, and that's what we'll be discussing up in the next video. So hope I'm very much clear regarding whatever I taught you today. So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care.